Shubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Kayeng dor bar tauan ka jela kala Mynjur ya ka an ro balawan ra da ka sarkar jela banpin kala ya ki katukat ni ki binta ka Meghalaya State Investment Promotion and Facilitation Act arajar ahusaw da ka basngap ya ka surbat ka jing sngo ki pat ba ka jela Umintri rang ba ka jela ukon rat sangma ulapan bana ba ka sarkar kala wengno ya ka contain ka badon hapo ka ni ka an na ka subsection kabalay, jang ka section kabasaw naka-clause kabaningkong. Kabaong creation of land banks through direct purchase of land or other means lani ka jing Thied Kyndon lingba ka tegaan. Ukon rat sangma uloong baka sarkar Kyndon kanu ka jingmut bandi ya ka Kyndon ka siap lani ban IT siya kinu ki company. Ulapan siya baka MIPA Kyndon ya ka thong banchna ya ka land bank. Uloong bakatekaan kadena kabentaban kring ya kinong sengkam sengjam kum kasin jam ban pelong ya kajala ban kenjo sya ka $10 billion economy hadien kajing pensay ukonrat ki babon ki MLA kila kersyan ya kane ka juru ki MLA nakalyang persya kila ay kuble ya ukonrat uloong ru baka sarkar jong u kamshim ya kanu kasin jam ka bakta ya kajing sngo jong ki padba bat ka sarkar ka ju yai ngap ya ka sur jong ki padba.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move the government amendment as follows. Deletion of the words in brackets, creation of land banks through direct purchase of land or other means, unquote, appearing in the last three lines under subsection 3, clause 1 of section 4 of the said amendment bill.
You may initiate the discussion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Sir, as you are aware, and the entire House also is aware, that keeping in line with the goal to take the state forward and to make Meghalaya into an 85,000 crore vis-a-vis $10 billion economy, multiple opportunities have been identified. At the same time, as I was replying in my initial question hour, the GSDP is made out of consumption, investment, government expenditure, as well as net exports and imports. And therefore, investments play a crucial role in order for us to be able to achieve the economic goals that we desire. It is with that particular goal in mind the government had passed the Meghalaya Investment Promotion and Facilitation Bill in 2024. Sir, while there was a single window agency that used to facilitate the process of investment, the scope and the manner of investment under the single window agency was quite limited, keeping in mind the nature of the agency. And it was the Industries Department that was the nodal agency for the single window agency. So with changing times, today the investment scenario is there in sectors beyond manufacturing or beyond areas which we would have traditionally defined as industries. Today, investments are coming in the health sector, Investments are coming in the education sector. Investments are coming in the food and agriculture and food processing sector. Investments are coming in tourism sector, and even investments today are coming in the sports sector in terms of centers of excellence. And therefore, there was a need to be able to provide regulatory framework to enable the process of incorporating all these different needs. And hence, the need to expand the single window agency and the need for us to come out with a legislation in the form of the Meghalaya State Investment Promotion and Facilitation Act 2024. And under this act, multiple aspects of single window approval systems, development of a unified investment portal, simplification of rules and regulations, unified investment of ecosystem, creation of combined application forms, so on and so forth, different measures and steps were taken to ensure that a broader yet a more simplified system would be created in order for us to be able to achieve the targets that we have put under the investment category with the objective of reaching the $10 billion economy. So having said that, when we came out with these concerns, we had a large number of interest coming in from different investors in order for us to be able to move forward. And a requirement came in of being able to provide different facilities, including land in terms of long-term lease to different organizations who desire to invest. In the process, they felt, and discussions were made, that like different agencies, the Meghalaya Investment Promotion Agency, which is again one part of the amendment as of now, which has been put in. Earlier it was called the Investment Meghalaya Authority, and now it's called the Meghalaya Investment Promotion Authority. The proposal was put in that like normally other provisions are there to facilitate these kind of investments. The Mipa, which we're calling it now, would also have those same facilities. Of course, providing that they follow all the said norms. Now, when this particular aspect was brought in, there was a lot of confusion among the people. And people felt that the provisions of the Land Transfer Act may be bypassed. Provisions under the district councils may be bypassed. And no system of guaranteeing that employment opportunities will be given to our youngsters may also be bypassed. And it is to address these concerns that these specific amendments are today being brought in. The first amendment that we are inserting is mentioning about the Land Transfer Act itself. And the amendment that we are bringing in mentions that this act shall not be in derogation of the Meghalaya Transfer of Land Regulation Act 1971. And this is being done to address the concerns that this particular policy or this act will bypass. If there is any worry or concern, this particular amendment is addressing that particular point. Second, there are concerns about the different aspects of provisions under the district council, autonomous district councils. And therefore, specific sections are being added in the existing act to ensure that all the procedures, all the specific rules and the acts which are applicable in respect of the different district councils will also be followed. Third, specific mention is being made within the Act in regards to the employment generation for the people and the youngsters of our state. And hence, these three specific amendments are being brought in to give the specific comfort to the citizens of our state that all the necessary rules and regulations as per the Land Transfer Act and also as per the rules of the district councils will be followed. So in spite of putting these different points, in the last couple of days, last 3-4 days in fact, different organizations and different stakeholders have been meeting and approaching me to express their concerns. There were a large number of MLAs from the NPP who had come and met me. I remember our MLA from Mokundru, other constituencies from Jowai, our MLAs from Garo Hills. Different MLAs had come and met me, expressing concerns on the issue of land bank being created by Mipa. At the same time, MLAs from UDP had come. Our Honorable MLA, Ma Lakman, Balajit, and other MLAs from many of our legislatures who are present out here had come and expressed the same concerns over the land bank issue that has been brought in this particular amendment. Similarly, I had other people from different sections of society understanding the different provisions being brought in, yet having a concern over what could be a larger concern in the long run regarding these land bank issues. Just a couple of days back, members from the KSU, their president, Balam, the general secretary, Donald, and other members had met me. Detailed discussions were held with them also. And I explained the different provisions that we are putting into this particular amendment. And all are being done to precisely address the issues and concerns that all the stakeholders were having. And therefore, I mentioned to them that the Land Transfer Act provision is only strengthening the arguments that they are making. The amendment section for insertion regarding the district councils is only strengthening the arguments that they are making. And also the sections regarding the employment generation are also only strengthening the arguments that they were making. And after discussion with all these stakeholders, in spite of explaining to everybody that whatever provisions are being created under Mipa, that is new Mipa, these provisions are in no way going to affect or bypass the Land Transfer Act. Different provisions are there in the state even as of now. And the different provisions that are there in the state which are effective for the last 20, 30 years, it is in similar lines and similar provisions that this functioning also will take place. But I could get a sense that in spite of clarifying this issue at multiple levels, I could sense that there was discomfort when the issue or the word of land bank would come in. What if this happens? What if that happens? Sir, I have mentioned this house many, many times. This government believes in working for the welfare of our people. This government believes in carrying our people with us. This government has always believed that whatever decision we take, and we have shown this example multiple times, this is not the first time, that we will take one step forward in the larger interests of our state, but we will not hesitate to take a step back if it is required. We have done it in multiple occasions. I was reading or listening to the speech of our Honorable Leader of Opposition. He was mentioning yesterday in the press that a government should not bulldoze. Sir, this government is one of the best examples of a government that does not bulldoze. We are a government that will listen to the will of the people. We will listen to the concerns of the people. We will ensure that it may take time for society or individuals, organizations, maybe to sometimes get a clear picture, because these are complicated matters and this requires a lot of study and in-depth research or whatever you call it. You need to study all the provisions. And once all the provisions are read, once you see everything, maybe the convincing will happen then. But till then, it is only appropriate for us as a government to work closely with our society and with our people. And it is with this intention in mind, without affecting any of the provisions that are there in the Meghalaya State Investment Promotion Facilitation Act 2024. As mentioned earlier, sir, the Meghalaya's...
Chief Minister, please. It is now past 2 p.m. But I will extend the House till all the business is disposed of. So, you may continue, please.
So the Meghalaya the State Investment Promotion Facilitation Act, as mentioned in the name itself, sir, our objective is to only promote and only facilitate. Mipa is not here to buy land. Neither are we here to forcefully transfer land to anybody. Let me make it absolutely clear to everybody. Sir, there is no question of transferring any land to any company or any organization, which has been the apprehension. And as I said, in order to remove those apprehensions, we put in the amendment section 34. And in spite of that, there are still apprehensions. And therefore, sir, we are bringing in this amendment to give the confidence to our people. We want to give the confidence to our people. We want to let them know that we are here to listen, to their concerns and to address those concerns without having to dilute the overall objective of promoting the overall scenario of investment. And hence, sir, I am happy to inform you and the House that we have moved this amendment where we are deleting the words from section 3, subsection 3 of section 4, clause 1, the last line, which says, and I quote, creation of land banks through direct purchase of land or other means is being removed and being deleted, to give a very, very clear message that Mipa is not come with the objective of creating a land bank and giving this land to somebody. Absolutely not. And Mipa will not engage in any aspect related to buying of land or creating of land bank or creating any kind of a system to transfer or to lease out. None of this will be entertained by Mipa. Mipa will be focused only to facilitate the process of investment, to bring in the investments, to create awareness, to create a common platform, and other provisions which are already existing in the system, which has already been there for many, many years. Those provisions which are comfortable, which have been going on, as I said, for years, those provisions will be followed as per the rules and laws that have already been established, and we will continue with the work of creating the right ecosystem to have the investment and promotion facilitation in the state of Meghalaya. So with these few words, sir, I move this particular amendment for deleting the words creation of land banks through direct purchase of land and other means. And also, sir, before I resume my seat, I also want to share that as we move along, let me assure the House as well as the other stakeholders that there is a huge scope of discussion. We will be creating different rules. I assure the House, sir, that when the rules are created, we will invite stakeholders to come and discuss with us, our traditional heads, our different organizations, political parties. We will come, we welcome them, and we discuss different aspects on what concerns are there, and we will address those concerns in the right earnest. So with these few words, and with this particular amendment that I have moved, I resume my seat, sir. Sir, at the very outset, I would like to thank the mover of the amendment as well as the members who have participated in the amendment. I will not name everybody for the interest of time, but I thank the Honorable Mover, the Honorable MLA from Nongkrem, and all the other members who have participated in this very, very important amendment. So there is not much to clarify regarding the first issue and the first point which all the members have today more or less participated and given their sense of satisfaction. Sir, as mentioned in my amendment which I had moved, that a large number of stakeholders, including our MLAs, as well as different members from different organizations have met me. And going with our normal process of always doing deep consultation with everybody, we decided to move the amendment to remove the lines that indicated towards direct purchase of the land banks. And I presume that that issue has been to the satisfaction to almost all the members of the ruling, and also, from I could understand, to the satisfaction of all the members of the opposition also. So I will not dwell on that particular issue much. Regarding some of the concerns, sir, I'll just take a minute or so to just mention few points. Sir, some of the members, of course, had raised concerns regarding the original act and some of the sections like section 39. So let me just make it very, very clear to everybody and the honorable members mostly, is that, sir, this particular provision of 39 cannot supersede provisions that are there in other acts or that are there in the Constitution of India. What I mean by that, sir, is that if tomorrow there is somebody who is caught in terms of taking bribes to make any particular aspect move forward, so the laws as per the government of India, the central, the state government, the Lokayukta, all those acts and rules will apply. So there is no question of being able to give complete immunity just by putting one line and expecting that this will give complete immunity to anybody who chairs this governing council or any of the other members. So this is to be very, very clearly stated, sir, that this is not a complete blanket immunity. It is meant there to put a sense of confidence that individuals who are working in good faith will be given protection. That is all, sir. Now, who defines what is good faith? So the court decides. If there is a case of corruption, if there is another case, God forbid, of something even more heinous, like maybe a murder, this clause cannot protect that particular individual who has committed that particular crime. There are rules and laws and acts at the state and national level which will overrule any of these provisions that have been mentioned out here. The sense, as I said, was only to give a sense of confidence that there will be a sense of positive approach towards individuals who are functioning in good faith, and that is all that is there in this particular clause. And so this clause was again passed last year in 2024, so it's not a new clause we're bringing in. It was already in the original act. And as I said, we have scope in the rules to further give the details of what the provisions are there and how this particular provision works. And as I said, sir, we are here to work for the people of our state to give them the confidence. If the situation does arise, that there is still concerns about this particular section. And by the way, sir, this section is something that is there in most of the investment promotion policies of most of the state governments. So it's not that we are the only ones who has brought this particular wording. In fact, if you look at the wordings that are there in a state like Karnataka, so in that state's investment promotion policy also, similar words have been used. And in almost all the other states also, similar language is used. And as I said, sir, the key line here is to note that it's in good faith, that only actions that are done in good faith, and that good faith, or is it bad faith, that will be decided by the court, not by the government or by the chief minister or by any of the ministers. So it's very clear, sir. But as I said, since there are concerns, I have mentioned in my opening remarks on my amendment that we are there to consult and discuss provisions. These are, of course, provisions that do not impact the larger functioning of this particular act, and therefore discussions can be done, and at an appropriate time we can take this particular discussion forward also. As I said, this is not part of the amendment. This is part of the original act which has already been passed by this House. So regarding the different aspects of the land acquisition that have been mentioned, sir, the purpose of today's discussion and the amendment that has been brought in and the amendment to the amendment that has been brought is to do specifically with the Mipa, which is the Meghalaya Investment Promotion Authority, and the concerns that land banks will be created by Mipa, sir. And therefore, I have mentioned very clearly, a lot of the MLAs, even from the ruling side, even yesterday, sir, just to share with all of you, of course, I thank the wishes for the good wishes that our opposition members and all the members have given. I was yesterday and whole night, day for yesterday, I was in the hospital. And even from the hospital yesterday, I had a cabinet meeting online, and these matters were discussed. So even till yesterday, we were in discussion mode about this issue. And even when I was there in the hospital, I was getting the inputs, and we had an online cabinet discussion on this matter. And based on that, we have gone ahead with the decision to remove that particular clause of the land bank, which was of great concern to the people. But reiterating, sir, that the intention was never to in any way bypass any of the land acts that are there available in the state and in the different agencies in the government, sir. So therefore, I want to make that very clear, that it's very clear that this was not going against any of those provisions, but since the larger concern still remained, therefore to give that sense of comfort to our people, that in no way are we going to go into that aspect of transferring of land or going into any issue of land bank, we went ahead with this decision. I also want to just make it double clear, sir, to the people of the state as well as the members who are present out here. So regarding the points mentioned by the mover regarding MIDC as well as other agencies that are going ahead with acquisition, sir, as rightly put by our honorable member from Umsning, that development work will move forward. For development work, requirements are there, and land happens to be one of the requirements. And at different stages in different years of state government, different acts have come into place that govern different laws and provide different provisions. So all at this point I can say, sir, is that Mipa will not engage in land acquisition. Mipa will not engage in land banks. That is the whole purpose of this amendment that we are bringing in from our side, sir, and I want to give the assurance. But other provisions that have been brought in by other laws is beyond the scope of this particular amendment act that we are bringing in. All the different acquisitions, whether it's for the roads or different kind of activities, sir, are being done as per existing provisions of the House and of the different agencies. And today, for me to say that all acquisitions will stop, that is something that cannot be, that commitment or that assurance cannot be given in the House. Processes will follow, sir, because there are these acts and different aspects which have been already passed by the House long before, sir. It's not to do with this act of Mipa. So we should not mix these two. And therefore, if there are concerns regarding the Land Transfer Act or regarding any other agency or MIDC functioning, so that is beyond, as I said, the amendments that we have brought in today. So therefore, I would like to stick to these amendments, sir. Other concerns, I'm not saying are not important. Other concerns also important. We as a government, we have been open. Almost all the opposition members have today appreciated the way we have handled the situation. We have been able to bring everybody on board, and we'll continue to engage, sir. Because let me again assure you, we are not here to do any harm to our people or our state or our society, sir. Our primary task, each member, sir, whether it's opposition or whether it's ruling, if we fail to protect the interests of our people, then we are failing in our primary duty and responsibility. And I'm with the members of this House in every sense. And it's not just the words we speak, but it is the actions also, as mentioned by our member from Umsning, that our actions have also proven that we are just not simply talking, but we are walking the talk, sir. So we will engage, sir. The scope of discussion beyond the amendment that is being brought by Mipa for the Meghalaya Investment Promotion and Facilitation Amendment Bill 2025. So those aspects, as I said, is beyond the discussion today. for me to go and address the issues of acquisition as a whole and laws that have been brought in the past, to discuss those areas and say that we'll put a hold to everything, so will not be possible. So today we have to examine all of that. Those things can be discussed. I'm not saying it cannot be, but for now, for the sake of the issue that we are addressing and for the amendment that we have brought in, sir, I would like to stick to what we are discussing as of now. And with all the efforts that we have put in and all the discussions that we have had, sir, even yesterday, apart from the meetings that I've had, many other MLAs, I don't want to name, had long discussions and detailed discussions and engagement with many, many stakeholders. So a lot of consultation has gone through this decision making, and we have finally come to this point, sir. So therefore, sir, with these clarifications and with the assurance that we will continue to engage, and the Meghalaya Investment Promotion Facilitation, it may be a bill, it may be an act, but it is more about the overall ecosystem and environment. And that requires us to continuously engage and continuously bring out what is in the best interest of the people of the state first, sir, keeping in mind all the rules and laws and the traditional aspects and the ownership in mind, and obviously looking at the larger interest of ensuring that the state grows economically and we also get the different investments that are required for us to move forward, sir. So with these few clarifications, as I said, sir, there's not much to clarify. Honorable members have all appreciated and agreed that we have moved in the right direction. And therefore, with these few clarifications, I would urge the mover of the amendment to the resolution to please withdraw the amendment of the resolutions.
Now, may I know the mind of the mover as to whether he will withdraw his amendment?
Sir, once again, I would like to thank the Honorable Chief Minister, since the government has taken positive cognizance of the issue that we raised. So I beg to withdraw this amendment.
Now let me put the question before the House. The question is that the Honourable Mover Sri Arden M. Basamet, MLA, has leave of the House to withdraw his amendment. Those who are in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against say no. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. And the amendment has been withdrawn with the leave of the House. Now let me put the question before the House. The question is that the bill be taken into consideration. Those who are for the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against say no. The ayes have it, the ayes have it. And the motion for consideration is adopted.